So this is part 2 for An American in Austen, starring Eliza Bennett, and Nicholas Bishop plays Mr. Darcy. If you haven't watched part 1, go to part 1. I'm giving An American in Austen a 10 out of 10. Now, one of the things I love when Hallmark does this, and we saw this in A Timeless Christmas, A Biltmore Christmas, we definitely have seen it in Hallmark's latest series, major blockbuster hit, The Way Home. I love when Hallmark mixes fantasy with romance, and they mix fantasy with their current reality with romance, and it works for them. I loved A Timeless Christmas, starring my auntie boyfriend, Brian Pervine. Okay. I loved A Biltmore Christmas. It's now, I think, my second favorite Hallmark movie ever. It had Bethany Joy Lenz and Christopher Palaha, and I absolutely love those movies because I love when we mix the past with the present and try to make sense of everything, right? So the reason why I'm giving this movie a 10 out of 10 is I thought Harriet's comedic timing throughout this entire movie was just super, super brilliant. I thought she was funny, she was smart, she was witty, and I thought the movie showed very well what happens when you take the present and you mix it with the past. Of course, Harriet, now being in the 1800s, is messing up with the time. Instead of Mr. Darcy falling in love with Elizabeth, he starts to fall in love with Harriet, and she tells him she's in love with another man, honey. Only thing she left out is her man is in 2024 and Mr. Darcy is in the 1800, okay? And so her being there starts to shift things. What happens with Jane, what happens with Lizzie, what happens with Mary, who everybody should be with. Harriet is switching up all of this information just because she's now in the past. So I know that's a lot to think about, but she's adjusting. She's adjusting to the rooster waking her up at the crack of dawn. So no alarm clock, but still as annoying. She is adjusting to the fact that she's got 5 cousins, and all of them, except for Elizabeth, are really focused on finding suitors and getting married when it's their turn, because that's what you did in the 1800s when you came from a respectable family. So she kind of shows them that things are done differently in America, and some of the girls are drawn to just how strong she is. How Harriet just says she's going to take everything that's happening and she's going to fix it. So she tells Mr. Darcy, Lizzie is who you should be with. I have someone waiting for me. And I think it's at that moment we realize that Harriet realizes what she should have realized in present day 2024, that Ethan was everything. He was everything, and she loves him and he loves her. There is no Mr. Darcy making this fictional character into something so wonderful and so great, and building your life off the romance of a book is just not realistic. And I think that's what Harriet learns. And she also decides that how Pride and Prejudice plays out is exactly the way how it should. So she lets her cousins know she can see into the future. And as she starts to mess things up, she's got to fix those things too. And we see Harriet just race around the 1800s England with her American apple-shaped self, who's practically a spinster to the Bennet family. And we see her try to help her cousins Jane and Lizzie fall in love with the right men. And Harriet achieves that. I thought An American in Austen was brilliant. I thought it's worth watching. Definitely tune in. I'm giving this movie a 10 out of 10. I think I've already watched it 2 or 3 times today. And I started this morning. And within the first 15 minutes, I was laughing. Also, I went and read some of the Hallmarky comments on the Facebook page about this movie, briefly skimmed before I did this review, and some people said it was refreshing to see a new cast instead of seeing some of the regular Hallmark actors and actresses, to see a new cast and give different people an opportunity to shine. And shine did Eliza Bennett, aka Harriet. Shine she did. She made us fall in love with her character. She made us fall in love with her journey with Ethan. And she made me even think that there are some parts of Pride and Prejudice that I probably need to go back and reread and really see if I can like this story now, reading it as a grown adult versus as a teenager. Anyway, really love this movie. I think this movie brought comedy, romance, family-ship into everything. And I just thought it was brilliantly done. And Hallmark, like I said, I'm eating my words. You guys know better. You guys know what to do. And you guys definitely are doing Loveyuary. It's just been beautiful. So I'm giving an American in Austen a 10 out of 10. Oh, and here's how they tie it in. The book that Harriet finally finishes when she goes back into modern times is actually titled An American in Austen. And who's there to cheer her on at her book signing? But her husband, Ethan, honey. That's right. She fixed everything with Ethan and let him know that she was the problem, not him. She was holding herself back. She was burying herself in books. She was getting afraid of her writer's block. But Ethan, in his imperfect self, is perfect for her. And I think that was a great message right there. And we see her propose to Ethan. And he says maybe, and then he says, you know that's a yes. And we just know that they're going to be a spectacular couple. An American in Austen, I absolutely loved it. I recommend it. Some people said it was on the Hallmark Movies Now. It had premiered earlier. So some people had watched it, I think, on the app. I did what I always do. I DVR the Saturday night. I watch it early Sunday morning so that I don't have any distractions. I'm not scrolling on my phone. I'm not talking to anybody. And if I end up scrolling, it's because the movie is not that interesting to me. And that's how I saw Paging Mr. Darcy. Okay, if you saw An American in Austen, please let me know what you thought. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I'm super happy with this movie. Next week, we are going into another Jane Austen book, Sense and Sensibility, but it's going to have a Bridgerton feel. Okay? I love that. And I actually can't wait to see what they do. So far, Dan Junot, we're used to him. We've seen him in The Royal Nanny. We've seen him in a bunch of movies. I think My Christmas Mural, he was in that in 2023. That was not so good, but I have a feeling he's going to knock it out the park with this next movie. There's been a lot of hoopla about it being almost an all-black cast, and people are saying, well, why are they doing this? Baby, the reason why you're getting some of these new movies is because with different actors and actresses is that Hallmark is showing that they're committed to their diversity and inclusion mission that they started when ex-CEO Bill Abbott left for Great American Family. And part of that is, baby, we are in Black History Month. And part of that is acknowledging that there are Black and brown actors and actresses that can do amazing things and shouldn't be limited. And Mahogany is, if she don't do nothing else, Mahogany is always going to present. So I'll see you guys next week for Sense and Sensibility. And I am praying that it ends as well as these last two movies have. Because, baby, Hallmark is going to make me eat my hair. They're going to make me eat my shorts. Because I said I was going to have to start drinking during Loveyuary. But instead, they are really making me think more, especially as a woman of a certain age, about how I look about love and what I want out of love. And in a very realistic way, even though they're bringing fantasy into a lot of these movies. Anyway, shout out to Jane Austen and all the writers that are working and actresses that have been working on these movies to bring it to us for Loveyuary. I definitely don't think Loveyuary is a product of the writer's strike because, baby, we're seeing some really good writing and acting happening right now in real time. All right, it's KJM. Y'all let me know what you think, okay? And I'll see you guys next week.